Hey guys, welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. On the desk here is a box that I just got from the Fossil group, and it's been a little while since I've done a traditional unboxing. So let's go ahead and do that today. I've got the desk view activated here from this side. I am wearing the Hulk today, the 116610 LV. Love this watch. And so let's get down to business. Let's open this. Take a look at a Zodiac. So a lot of you guys are probably familiar. Zodiac is owned by the Fossil group. And Fossil reached out and they wanted to send me a watch to review. So this is the watch. And this is pretty cool because it's an exclusive watch. You can only get it through Topper Jewelers, the authorized dealer in California that I know many of you guys are familiar with. So yeah, let's see what we got in here. So let's take a closer look at the Sea Wolf GMT. I've taken it out of the box. I've actually just sized it for my wrist. I've taken off the stickers, and I want to give you guys my first impressions and talk a little bit about this model. Now, before I do that, I have to disclose that Jared at Fossil reached out to me, and this is actually a gift watch. I don't have to send this back. I don't have to send this to another reviewer. So you could consider this a sponsored presentation. Even though I'm not being paid, I am under no obligation to be favorable, but I don't have to send this watch back. And that's really cool. I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to creating content on this Crystal Topper edition that you can only get from Topper. You won't be able to buy this directly from Zodiac or from another Zodiac authorized dealer. And this specific color iteration, this Crystal Topper edition, is limited to 182 pieces, which is a pretty low amount for such a popular model. And if you take a look at the case back here, the polished case back, there is an area where you can see Topper limited edition. And then next to that, adjacent to that, there's an area for the individual engraving, the number of your production. And this one is blank. It says blank out of 182, which is fascinating to me. I don't know if this is the first production unit or a prototype unit that was used for press purposes. I don't know if this is the first of 182 or the first of maybe 183, not counting production versions. I'm not exactly sure, but I think this is really interesting. And I take some pride. I know I didn't actually put money down on this watch, but I take some pride in the fact that this is unnumbered. That's just kind of a cool, fascinating thing that I enjoy as a watch enthusiast. So let's talk about the design. Let's talk about the dimensions. Let's talk about some of the features here of this limited edition. The design language comes from the original Zodiac Aerospace GMT that was produced in 1966. Now that vintage reference, which I'll drop in a picture of that reference, was based off of the original Rolex 6542 GMT Master, the Pan Am, the albino GMT that for a long time, watch enthusiasts even debated whether it even existed. So it's got some really fun, nuanced history from Rolex and from Zodiac. Obviously, looking at this and looking at the original Aerospace, you guys can see that Zodiac was extremely faithful to that original reference. They did upsize it a little bit from 35 on the vintage to 40 here on this modern iteration. And I've got to say, I enjoy when a brand pays attention to awesome references from its past, but doesn't supersize it. Like they could easily have done this in 42, 43 millimeter, but it just wouldn't be the same. I think 40 is the ideal sweet spot. It's the traditional men's size, just like all those decades ago, 35 was considered a very substantially sized sport piece. Now, I'll drop in some pictures and some clips of this on my 7.25 inch wrist. I really like the size. I really like the proportions. It's not too tall, doesn't have lug overhang, but still carries lovely presence, great light play. And then I think this watch is pretty versatile in its color scheme. We have the lovely silver sun ray. We have the bright, vivid, red here, the blue of the Pepsi, the red of the GMT stick hand, the roulette wheel alternating between the blue and the red. The red is done on the odd dates. The blue is done on the even dates. And if you were to take this off the bracelet, the very solid bracelet, you guys can see there is quick release spring bars here for the end links. You could put this on Milanese mesh or a nice leather, maybe with some blood tones, or you could put it on a blue tropic or a red tropic. You could really have some fun playing with the feel and playing with the look of this pretty versatile piece in the design and also in the size. So I like that. But, here's the other thing that I like about Zodiac, and I'm not trying to give them flowers because they have given me this beautiful watch. No, I think they deserve the flowers. If you look at their lineup, specifically the Sea Wolf, they're coming out with some very loud, bold, proud colors that are anything but conservative. And you wouldn't think to pair those bold, watermelon, creamsicle flavors with a vintage-inspired dive watch or sport watch, but it just ends up working really well. I love that lime green that they recently released. I think, there's a reason why some watch enthusiasts are starting to collect the Sea Wolf in the various iterations. I think Zodiac is one of those few traditional brands that has found success in offering those bold, loud, and dare I say often outlandish color iterations. They are able to mix the modern and the vintage with just a very pleasing, proud flair. And I love that. So really cool iteration. And again, Zodiac is playing up the color scheme here with the box. Let's get the camera to focus. The paperwork, even the outer sleeve here, which you guys can see the map of the world with the time zones done in red. And then there is blue accenting, the Pepsi color scheme. And then the fact that you get this really cool microfiber cloth of the world with the time zones that's branded. That's pretty neat. I enjoy when watch brands go the extra mile in pleasing the fans, the most enthusiastic of the consumer base. And I would consider myself one in that category. So guys, let's wrap up this presentation here. Let's talk about the movement briefly. I'll talk about the tactile elements in the bracelet, and then we'll save the rest for the full in-depth review. But what's within this watch is the Soprod C125 GMT caliber. It's a dual time. It's not a true GMT like you would get on a Grand Seiko or a Rolex, but the dual time is a handy complication. It's very common at this price of, under $2,000. And this specific SOP rod will be comparable to the ETA 2893-2 in terms of execution, in terms of jewel count, power reserve, beat rate. It even carries the Inca Block shock protection system and a bidirectional winding rotor. And so let me unthread the crown and give you guys a sense of the winding action, because it's actually quite a bit smoother than the 2893 or the Solita variation of that caliber. And I'll hold it up next to the microphone. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's very smooth and very pleasant in the mechanical feel. The crown is a screw down crown. It does carry the Zodiac signature, and we do have 200 meters of water resistance. And then another nice thing, this is not a dive watch, obviously. It does carry the retro, high polish, faceted applied markers that look great, that grab light. But we have a little bit of BGW9 from Super Luminova, so the low light luminescence is actually pretty satisfying, more so than if this was just basic C1. Now, I do think there is a bit of a missed opportunity on the part of Zodiac. I would love to see this be a fully lumed bezel, all of those indexes lighting up in that cyan tone in low light. I think that would be awesome. But as it is, it's adequate. It's actually a little bit better than I was expecting. And then this is the action. I don't know if you guys can hear that very well, but it's a very smooth, precise action. There is no backplay. There is no positions, ghost positions or anything like that. No wiggle in the bezel. And let me bring it up to the mic. Hopefully you guys can hear just how snappy and pleasant that is. Now let's end with the bracelet. What we have here is an oyster style with a narrow PCL, a little bit of a flare or a step area on the dramatic taper. And I think that looks great. And if we look at the clasp, we have a predominantly brushed clasp with high polished chamfered edges. And notice the flip lock is seamlessly integrated in with the side wall of the substantial clasp. And that's just a nice detail that you don't often see at this price. Like, my sub that I'm wearing carries that feature, very seamless in its transition. So it's just, I don't know, it's going the extra mile, I think, for the price to do that here on this Zodiac. Now we have an ovular high polish flip lock with the Zodiac signature. And then you open that up and check it out. There's a hole there in the milled portion. That's not something that I've seen before. But you know what? I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a little Easter egg, and I appreciate that. So overall, surprisingly hefty, solid, great color scheme, great movement, great details. Just a very cool limited edition that you can get at Topper Jewelers in California here in the United States. So Jared, I appreciate you working with me. Thank you very much for sending this. I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to enjoy making quite a bit of content on this watch. And guys, if there's anything specific you would like me to cover in the full review or a comparison to an Oris Aquis that I have planned or some other just some other videos that I'd like to make on this watch, let me know. I do my best to try to oblige and help out because again, the Sea Wolf, especially in those loud, proud, bold colors, is really capturing the imaginations of many in this hobby, including myself. And I could see myself, starting to collect the very coolest of the iterations, in my opinion, and just building a fun little rotation of the Sea Wolf. I think that'd be cool. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this unboxing today. Reach out with questions. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.